Paddy Davitt here on the PinkUn, whatever channel you're joining us on, podcast, audio lovers, or our video output. Delighted to be joined by Andy Hunt. Now, Andy Hunt, for you football aficionados, you might remember him for his playing career with West Brom, Charlton, Newcastle before that. But what you might not know is actually Andy's got quite strong links to the Norfolk area. So first and foremost, Andy, thanks for joining me. I should have mentioned live from Belize, Central America, which we'll get into in due course, obviously, because that's an interesting story all of its own. But you are, it's safe to say, a man who knows Norfolk pretty well, mate. So thanks for coming on. But just let's just start there. What are your links to Norfolk?
Well, thanks for having me, Paddy, and appreciate the link up looks good. We're able to connect, so happy to be here. I grew up in Norfolk, little village, Ashill, near Watton, and I lived there from like a little and up until I was 20, till I turned pro as a football player. Went to Newcastle. And so I got a lot of connections with Norfolk, a lot of fond memories, and a lot of friends still there. Families now in Dereham and Watton still. So had a great childhood and love the area, and looking forward to going back. Unfortunately, we're stuck because of the whole COVID thing, and we don't really want to risk the travel just yet, but hopefully there's a window soon where we can come back, and we always head back to Norfolk and visit the family and spend quality time there. So but I had a pretty rich football, growing up playing football there, played in village football, went to King's Lynn College, played for King's Lynn. Briefly, didn't really stay there long, but I was at King's Lynn, and looking forward to going back and seeing what they're up to, because they're doing great things. It wasn't like that when I was there. Yeah. I can say that about a lot of teams. When I was there, they weren't very good, and then I look back now, like Newcastle, when I was there, they were struggling, but now they're Premier League. But so looking forward to seeing how King's Lynn's going these days, and I also had an opportunity at Norwich as well. That was quite brief, but so a lot of connections with Norfolk.
Yeah, I was gonna, because you actually surprised me when just before we started to record. You said you did have a trial at Norwich. Can you just tell us a little bit about that? Who would have been the manager at that point? Testing your memory there a little bit, I know, but
honestly, it was all just way above my head at that time. I mean, I didn't really have any idea that was a possibility. I can't even remember. This was when I must have been 18, because I was working in Norwich. I was working at Norwich Union, Aviva. And so I was playing for my village, for Ashill, and we were we were just playing with our mates and friends and this and that, and I was a good player, scoring a lot of goals, and actually I was a central defender, started. They put me in there when I was about 14, playing as a sweeper behind the big guys. So that was fun. But I got a chance. We played against Walton in a friendly game. I think the score was like 4-3, something like that. And we beat them, and I scored all the goals. And there was a Duncan, what was his last name? There was a chief scout there, or a scout. I think his first name was Duncan. What was his second name? Duncan Forbes, would that be it?
Could have been, yeah. Could have been a great Duncan Forbes, yeah.
You know what? If I get these things wrong, I'm getting old. I'm 51 now, and I barely can remember some of the things that I did, let alone, so I apologise if I've got his name wrong. Anyway, there was a scout there, and then he spoke to me after the game, and he said, and then Norwich got in contact with me and asked if I wanted to go try out with them and stuff like this. And so, I was like, well, I drove to Norwich every day to work. I got permission, had to go get permission from work because I needed to get mornings off to go train. Had no clue about the professional football setup, what it was. So I managed to get like a morning off a week for a little while, and I went there, and but it was great. I mean, my first day though was it's like welcome to the world of professional football. I don't think they wanted to let me anywhere near the pro players, so I was taken into a indoor sports centre. I don't know if that's still, it must still be there, I guess. Is it Trouse? Is that the training ground still?
Yeah, Colney. No, yeah, that's probably what is now the old dome. Was it like a dome, big old indoor arena?
It was an indoor sports centre. So this is like 1917. This would have been 1988.
Yeah,
and
that'd be previous.
Yeah, so it was an indoor facility, and I went with their youth coach, head of youth development, whatever it was, and yeah. I thought, you know, it's like Royal Rovers stuff. You go in there, you go for training, you know, you score 3 goals in training, and Saturday you're playing against Liverpool. But it doesn't work that way. They don't want to let you anywhere near the first team, of course. So the first day I went there, I spent an hour in that facility, and the guy just smashed balls at me. Testing my touch, I guess, testing my. I mean, I didn't. Now I know as a coach what they were looking for, but at the time, they were just working to see what I had, what I could do, both feet, and how tight my touch was. You know, where I was putting the ball, and just, you know. So it was very, very simple. It was just he was just hitting balls at me from different distances, different heights, bringing it down, controlling it, and passing it back to him, with varying different skill sets involved with that, and. Yeah, and then I went home, and then I was like, okay, I don't know what on earth just happened there, but actually I didn't go home. I went to work, but they invited me back the following week, and then I got to train with the reserves and of course the first team around, you know, on the other field. So I never got to train with them, but I did get to play in a reserve game. I can't remember who that was against. And they wanted me to keep coming, but it was just difficult because I had to take half days off and stuff like that. And you know, you just never know if it's going to work. At the same time, I was playing with Kings Lynn, and that was going quite well. So in the end, it just never really happened that we followed through with it at Norwich, which is a pity because it was my hometown and home city, and that would have been nice. But yeah, I got them back. I got a hat trick there in my final season.
Yeah, I mean, let's move on to that. Yeah, obviously their loss was firstly Canaries, then briefly, and then Newcastle, West Brom, and then finally Charlton's gain. And Charlton, the season, I think, having looked at the records, you think you scored 20-odd goals. They won what was is now the Championship, the old First Division. 2000, was it 99-2000 season? And
that's it.
January 2000, Carrow Road, Norwich 0, Charlton 3, A Hunt 3 goals. What do you remember about that? That is really testing the memory banks, I know, but you must remember.
Yeah, I remember 3 good. I remember 3 good goals. I remember scoring a really nice strike on my left foot, and then the coming in on from a corner as well. I can't imagine like Norwich defending that way again. I was just totally free at the far post, and kind of it was a difficult finish, but yeah, it was a great day because I got all my friends and family were there, and just doing that at Norwich was really special. That was one of my highlights of my career, I have to say, because of the connections with Norfolk and stuff like that, and of course a lot of people I know are Norwich fans. So it was really, you know, what was quite kind of funny was I also got to go to Norwich once and do an American. Do you remember when the MLS used to do these, what do they call them now, where you run with the ball from the halfway line and you have to try, and the keeper comes out and you got to try and beat the keeper?
Yeah.
Do you remember that penalty playoff thing they used to do? We got to do that at Carrow Road in front of that end where I scored. And I remember just thinking how hard it was to do because you're in front of the fans in the stadium. And then I scored this half volley in the same goal, and there was this kind of like feeling in my head, remembering how hard it was to put that ball in the net. But then I did it in a real game against the top team, and just the contrast between being there as a little boy and then being there as a footballer, as a pro, and scoring was huge. And just, I don't know, it just got a lot of demons off my back from standing in front of that goal and missing from ridiculously easy chances. But yeah, all good fond memories for sure.
Yeah, just I don't know where you are with the old keeping memorabilia and that, but would you have had that match ball? And if so, any idea where it is? I know we're going 21
it's
years.
It's upstairs, literally right above my head. It's upstairs, fading away slowly. I think all the signatures. Yeah. I've got all my stuff upstairs here at my house here, and I've got a few of those hat-trick balls. But I have to say they're fading over time. The signatures, just like the people that signed them, right?
Yeah, we'll leave it there. We'll leave that trip down memory lane there, Andy. Thanks for that. But, to more pressing matters, obviously, when you finish playing, how do you, somebody who's come up sort of the Norfolk area and obviously played in the UK, how do you end up in Belize, as we said at the outset, for the last 20 years? How did that actually come about? Because I can't think of too many ex-pros from that era who ended in Belize, in Central America.
Yeah, no, it was a bit of an odd thing to do for sure. I had to retire at Charlton just at my peak, which was a shame. I was doing really well in the Premier League there, and the season before what we just discussed.
Yeah.
But I got something called chronic fatigue. I didn't know anything about it, or they call it post-viral fatigue syndrome. I'd ended up with glandular fever in the championship season, where I scored a lot of goals, but I got glandular fever, and I couldn't recover after training and games and stuff like that. So that whole season, I pretty much only played. I barely trained. So, I scored 26 goals and we were champions, but I was just in the form of my life, but I think I'd overtrained, or I don't know exactly what happened, but this glandular fever knocked me sideways. I took a break. At the end of the season, we were back in the Premier League. I came back really strong the following year in the Premier League. We were top. I think we were top, and I'd scored 4 goals, 8 games. At one point, I think I was on the top of the goal scorers charts as well. I doubt I could find that stat somewhere, but I was doing well. And then I just got hit for 6 by this virus again, but it wasn't glandular fever. They test you for that, but I just couldn't recover. I went to see various experts and specialists, British Olympic Association specialists, because they deal with kind of overtraining issues and things with their athletes. And they diagnosed what I had, but it's a mysterious thing. You can't detect it. You can't. It's just. I think I just. Probably they used to call it burnout, maybe, I don't know, but that's what they call it nowadays. So yeah, I got that. I tried to recover from it, but it just wasn't going to happen. And so I decided enough was enough. I stopped playing at Charlton, and I decided to sell my house. And me and my wife, we looked where we wanted to go, and I was like, you know what, I just want to get away from it all, and we decided to buy some property somewhere, and we went out and started looking, and the tropics seemed like quite a nice place. We came out here, we loved it, we got good value for money compared to owning property in London, and that's where I've been ever since. So I've been here 20 years just last month, and yeah, we love it. We got a lodge, small hotel in the jungle. I say the jungle, we're only just outside the capital, but we're in a sort of jungle environment, howler monkeys and toucans and crocodiles in the river and all this kind of thing, which is a bit scary because my oldest goes spearfishing and they go catching fish and stuff like that, and they tap the little crocodiles on the head with their spear guns and stuff like this. Yeah,
you don't get too many of those in there. I'm trying to think of some water in Norfolk, but I'm pretty sure
going to the River Ouse was a little safer when I used to sit there with my fishing pole and stuff. But yeah, it is a more wild environment. We're on a horse ranch as well, so when I look out the window, we've got all the horses and cattle and stuff like that. So it's a nice place to be. And but yeah, the last 18 months has destroyed the tourism industry here. That's what we were doing. Yeah. We used to take people out to the Mayan temples and cave tubing and all this kind of stuff. So we had a nice business, but we've adapted and it's all okay. We've changed what we do, and you move on, right? So we move on again, another chapter and another thing to move on to.
And that thing is almost going full circle because you're in the midst of some very exciting projects to do with football. Namely your own academy, which sounds a very progressive, kind of innovative thing to do in a place that probably doesn't have, if you contrast it with obviously the UK and professional football clubs and the academy systems they have here. Having spoken to you at length, it sounds like you've almost started that from scratch. So just tell us a little bit about that. A, where did the idea come from, and B, where are you with it at the minute, and then what you're hoping to do in terms of building and taking it on from there.
Yeah, so we started about 6 years ago. We just started like coaching like a lot of the kids in the local area, and a lot of very athletic, talented young footballers here. And but the setup is developing, and it definitely needs a lot of help. And so it was just a hobby to start with, just helping them, driving out and picking them up. And the things that we do here, need a lot of working on, but they did back then. But we're just coaching, just like any other coach does. And and we just kept going with it, and the players got better and better and better and better. We have a lot of challenges with the environment of how some of the kids are living, and teaching them a lot of things that I never thought I would have to teach, such as drinking water and stuff like that. But the progressions speeded up, and we took a group of, we've been identifying over the years the players that we think have some ability plus the right attitude, to progress. And we took a group from the under 17s into the men's football. They performed superbly. They won their tournaments 2 years in a row. Okay, the standard's not particularly high, but still a group of 16, 17, 18-year-olds moving into men's football. And you know how that goes with old men being, shown up by young guys. They don't like that. So it was challenging. There were a few red cards flying around and a few dodgy tackles. I got my first red card in my career here. So, but it's okay. I shook hands with the referee. I know him well. So it's good. But yeah, I got my first red card playing in this kind of football. But yeah, basically it's a young team, and so we just kept progressing, full-time training, developing them, teaching them, all the basics, constantly going back to basics, the fundamentals of football. But then we start to wonder like what their potential was. And so we got to play practice games against semi-pro teams out here, who obviously, we only have a semi-pro league in the country. And they started to perform really, really well. It wasn't something I was expecting, but really confident with the ball. We teach them a lot about, being brave in the sense of wanting the ball in difficult areas, not as in trying to hurt other people and be brave. Being brave as in, you got to want that ball, even though there's a possibility you might lose it. So, so teaching them these kind of mentalities, these kind of attitudes of what it takes to progress. And they were amazing. They were playing games against seasoned pros, semi-pro players, and they were performing as a group, as a team of 17, 18, 19-year-olds on the field. We got to play the men's national team. They performed excellently. We got video of those games, which people have been, which we've been able to show to people. And of course, we've got video of all the players performing and in various different scenarios. Of course, in their club games where it was a little easier, but also against the semi-pro teams and against the men. it's really good. The videos are really good. Now, of course, I didn't. I had nothing to compare it to outside of the country, so we started to send off a lot of this stuff to clubs, coaches, colleges in the university, which we literally just started this weekend, and my email inbox is just full now of scholarship offers for these boys now to go to the US. So I'm this is what I'll be dealing with when I get off this call, but it's brilliant. It's really going well, and they've gone way further than I thought they could, and that's where we're at with it now. We're actually in communication with a few clubs, well, a lot of clubs now in the UK, about bringing them over to do some training, some tryouts, get some experience for them. Of course, that's a whole different, thing to organise. It's quite a lot of work for us to have to do that, and the finances might be an issue. But we've already got a few offers of places to take them to, some pro clubs. And I'm in touch with a lot of ex-colleagues because a lot of the guys I played with are now doing amazing things in the world of football. So they keep popping up, and I keep in communication with them and showing them what we're up to, and so yeah, I'm hopeful that we can bring a group to the UK for about I don't know, 3, 4, 5 weeks or something at some point. Well, we've already got confirmation that we can do it with a couple of clubs. I'm actually talking to Kings Lynn. I hope that one will come through. Be great to get connected with Norwich because I'll be in the Norfolk, coming back to Norfolk. So that would be really nice if we could sort something out with them. And just it would be great to see where the level's at, see what these young guys can do, because we have a lot of talent in this country, but this has not really been done before, and we need to make a bit more of an effort to give players opportunities. So that's what I'm moving on to right now. That's literally what I'm doing at the moment, and fingers crossed, right?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds really exciting, and from almost a standing start to where it is now, you must feel you're onto something here. That there could be a pathway to give these guys opportunities, maybe to make careers as you did, back in the day. I mean, is it more broadly, having been out there 20 odd years? What is the level of talent? We obviously know the structures maybe aren't where they are in terms of European football, certainly at club level, but is there untapped talent out there in Belize, and then more generally Central America? We obviously know South America, that's a very well-established trail now for players, and even North America with the MLS and the professionalism over there. But Central America, maybe still an untapped market for you, do you think?
Totally. I mean, it's like, that's what I keep telling people. It's like you really got to see some of these players, because the athleticism is just off the charts, what they can do. But they are a long way behind with the understanding of training and what it takes to move through the levels. We're very comfortable here with just being who we are, as opposed to being pushed a little. And so full-time training doesn't really exist, and getting people into that environment is essential. It's not easy though. It's not easy because of the lack of resources. And you're relying on a lot of volunteers. I've done this voluntarily, but I love it. So for me, it's not a big deal, and I'm able to kind of afford to provide footballs and equipment and stuff like this. So we pretty much create our own program, but that's not an easy thing to set up actually anywhere, I don't think. But the qualities, actually we're going to find out. I mean, that's the question, that what you just asked, we are going to find out what the quality is like. I think I've identified a really high quality group of players that are playing at a top level, or a good level, I should say. Now, of course, when you're 17, 18, 19, 20, are you the finished article? No, not even close. I mean, if you can go to train even a lower level pro club and in the right environment with the coaches, with more coaches and more specialist work and stuff like this, yeah, you're gonna find out more about what the player has, and there's a lot more to it than just I know from growing up that I was not the best player, but when I was that age, there were a lot of really, really good players. But there's a mental side to the game. There's an attitude that you need. You got to have a pretty thick skin. You got to deal with knockbacks because it's so competitive. And I still see it now. I mean, communicating with a lot of people in the pro business, there's a lot of attitude, and people are who they are, and you gotta have a certain nature to try and find your way through all of that. And as a player, for sure, I can't even imagine being involved on the social media side of things now as a player. I don't even know where to begin with that. I certainly wouldn't have enjoyed that attention that the players have now, and of course probably a lot of them bring it upon themselves. But that's a very good question. Sorry to ramble on a bit, but that's a very good question. What is the quality? That is what I want to find out. I already found out like a year ago that they're able to play at the highest level here, and that's at 18, 17, 18, some of them 17, 18, 19, with the right training. And it's always been a question that I've had under the right training programs, what can these players do? And I think they can do a lot. So now we're going to find out. We're going to be talking to different pro clubs in Europe, in the UK, and we're getting success. We're getting quite a lot of offers to bring them. But yeah, like I said, a lot of it comes down to finances too, because when you have to send players over and all stuff like this, it gets expensive. So we'll see. We're very excited about the whole thing, and I keep my fingers crossed. It only takes one or two. I remember in Costa Rica when a couple of their players came over and got into the Premier League and did good. It suddenly changed the whole landscape there too. People started to look. And it only takes one or two guys to really step up and stand out. So now we have to keep encouraging that,
Yeah, you say that on the thing before we recorded, and I think Wigan had a couple, didn't they? There was Minor, Figueroa was one, I think, Palacios as well. These players just came out of nowhere, but yet we're clearly good enough to, as it was then in Wigan's heyday, play in the Premier League. You just can't rule it out, and it's interesting you mentioned Norwich as well, because under the current stewardship of Stuart Webber and Daniel Farker over here, obviously I'm not expecting you to follow very closely what they've done in the last 3 or 4 years, but the emphasis that they, as a self-financing club, essentially, have placed on developing academy talent, and that's not just domestically. They, as far afield as they can go. They've made it quite clear they're looking into South America and those territories, and it sounds like there could be a meeting of minds almost. That there are programs out there like yours that are maybe under the radar a little bit, but that the talent could be there and that could go into an English football Premier League academy and not look out of place. And I guess it's just connecting the dots now, isn't it, really, from your side of the fence?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm aware of all the top players in the country here. I've been watching them for a long time, so I know what they're all capable of. Well, no, that's not actually correct. We're not sure what they're all capable of. I'm sure I see what they can do here. Now, what they can do in a different environment, in a full-time setup, is a whole another matter. But yeah, that's the plan: is to start connecting and see what we can do with some of these players. And you never know. Like you should never rule people out. From my background, I know that I have an inspiration from how I did it, because I was kind of late to the game. Not really late, but I never went through any of the academies. I never went through any of it just materialized, like I just told you the story of Norwich and at King's Lynn and going to Kettering and stuff like this. I mean, when I was playing for Kettering, I got asked to go there because I played well against King's Lynn. Sorry, I played well against Kettering for King's Lynn in a pre-season game. And then I get a phone call when I was at Norwich the next day, on the Monday, can you come to train with Kettering? And I said, yeah, all right. I don't know. Yeah, sure. And I'd only just started at King's Lynn's first team, just got into the squad. And this was when I was probably 19, maybe. So I know how fast these things go, and that's why I keep reminding the players: you've got to keep doing the work. You've got to keep doing everything. And some people just develop at different times. And you know, you look at Jamie Vardy or Ian Wright and these kind of players. Look how late to the game they came. I think I might be wrong. Is it Kante? I think he was quite late, wasn't he, coming into the Premier League?
Yeah, he was.
What a player he is! Probably the best player in the world right now. So, you know, you've got so much talent out there in the world. Belize is totally untapped. But there's a long way to go between, you know, creating that pipeline, if you like, or creating those opportunities. But we're bridging that gap, and we'll see. But yeah, I definitely draw on my experiences and know that there are good quality, high quality players everywhere in the world. They're hiding in all the nooks and crannies, and no matter how many scouts and how well you develop your academies, there are more players out there. So, and their circumstances change. You know, the players' circumstances. Some players just can't do the semi-pro thing. They can't. They have work. They might have good jobs and stuff like this. They might want to focus on their education more, etc., etc., etc. And I know that the dream for a lot of people youngsters is to become a pro player, but there are other people who, you know, like me, who just were a little slower to wake up to that dream. But we kept training and we kept working, and yeah, you come to the party a little bit later. So we'll see what happens.
Well, goes without saying, Andy, wish you all the best for that. Sounds so exciting, and it does feel like you could be onto something very, you know, very big, and ultimately giving those guys opportunities they couldn't have ever dreamt of. So goes without saying. I just wanted to finish. It sounds like you're well set over there now, you and your family, and this academy, and all the other things you're dealing with. Do you think you'll ever come back to the UK at any point?
Yeah, no, it's a definite possibility. It's a definite. My boys are growing up, and you know, I've got an 18 and a 15-year-old, and obviously we have to consider what they want to do in the future. And I don't rule anything out. I mean, who knows? I'm really enjoying being involved with football. I don't know if something will happen, and that would be kind of nice. I mean, for sure we come back on a regular basis, but I can't say. I don't know. I hope so. But yeah, we'll leave that one unanswered right now. But yeah, it's a good question.
Watch your space, as they say. Yeah,
right.
The best is always we don't know the ending. Yeah, that's how it works out.
Yeah.
Well, listen, goes without saying again, thanks so much for your time today, and very, very best of luck. And we'll be watching with interest, and hopefully, you know, you can make those connections with clubs over here, maybe clubs in the MLS, and we'll see where it takes it. Yeah.
It's slowly, well, it's quite quickly happening right now, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah. All right, Paddy, I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you, and I certainly wish Norwich a little more success for the rest of the season. I know how hard it is. It's like we did it when I first went up there with Charlton.
Yeah.
And it's brutal, that first season. And well, I know it's not their first season, but yeah, gosh, when we went into the Premier League, my word, the difference in standard is just huge. I remember going to Old Trafford and we went 1-0 up. God, that annoyed Man United. We never touched the ball after we scored the goal, and they beat us 4-1. So yeah, it's tough, but I certainly wish Norwich well.
Good man. Well said, Andy. We'll leave it there. Thanks for your time, mate. All the best. Cheers.